Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cocktail Classified. We are here today at Arizona Cocktail Week. With two special guests. I have my co-host Tiff today joining us because we were getting nerdy about rum in the pre-production with Lauren. And then our guest today is Lauren Trickett with Remy Martin. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys are true sports for doing this in the middle of cocktail week.
Yeah.
It's ambitious.
Yeah, we were excited. It was something that we've been working on for a little bit, and we finally got everything aligned. So
Amazing.
thanks for being on.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, we know who you are. So who are you for our listeners and viewers?
My name is Lauren Trickett. I am the National Brand Ambassador with Remy Cointreau. So within that portfolio, I have the privilege of focusing on Cointreau, Mount Gay Rum, and Belle de Brillet. Been doing this with Remy for about 3 years now, but 10 years total as a brand ambassador.
Awesome. And it's your anniversary this month.
It's my anniversary, 10 years.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. And then Tiff. I know most of our viewers know who you are, but who are you?
My name is Tiffany Kirk, and I get to be a super nerdy rum girly in Houston. I run Toasted Coconut, and then I have a small, almost like a speakeasy inside of it called Road to Nowhere, where I can deep dive into tiki cocktails, the history of them, and really built that menu around what some of those original recipes are. It's passport style, so we just kind of travel the world together.
It's a gorgeous menu.
It was great.
Someone who drinks rum around the country, I can attest. That is a gorgeous menu.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cool. Well, Lauren, I know you've been the brand ambassador for 10 years. So you were a bartender before, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been in hospitality since I was 15 years old. My first job was actually for an IHOP commercial. I did
Okay.
film and television at 15, and not your usual entry into hospitality, but got to know people, and I used that on my resume to become a barista. And they said, you have no work experience. I was like, well, technically I worked at IHOP, even though it was a commercial. So I started as a barista. I had the 5 a.m. shift when I was 16, worked for a couple hours and went to school, and then worked the closing shift as well. So that, I mean, if you know how to make a coffee drink, I think the next progression is going to be, mixing cocktails. So the day after my 21st birthday, I was bartending at Buca de Beppo.
Okay.
And then from there, it's just, Long Beach born and raised. So lots of bars and restaurants down there, opened a bar in Beverly Hills. And from that, transitioned on to the other side of the bar where I've been happy for 10 years now. It used to be with Lillet as their national brand ambassador, and then with Remy now for 3 years.
Awesome. What pushed you to kind of go into brand ambassadorship or stewardship?
I think that balance of knowing how the bar world works, and I have a theater background, right? So film and television presenting, it was kind of a perfect marriage of the two. I'm a ham in a room, and I love our industry so much, and the community of our industry. It was kind of a no-brainer, and I wanted a 401k.
Yeah, and definitely having the nice 401k and the benefits are always nice in the industry. Awesome. So you grew up in Long Beach. You've seen kind of the progression of the cocktail scene over there. What was some of this like when you started bartending to now? Is it like a vastly different culture?
Wildly vast. I mean, when I started, we had sweet and sour on the gun. We were buying our simple syrup. We didn't even make our own simple syrup. So yeah, things have changed drastically. And honestly, for me as a 22-year-old bartender, I had a mohawk. I thought I knew things. And then I took Pernod Ricard had a class, I think it's called Bar Smarts. And that just changed my mind about how cocktails could be more culinary. And I started working with our chef at that restaurant. Bless his heart. JD, he has been a saint to me, has sat through so many terrible cocktails with me. But just the scene in general in Long Beach, now we have incredible bartenders. A lot of people come to LA and, see the cocktail scene. Long Beach is 30 minutes south. We are still LA County. And I think everybody now makes that drive down. We've got Baby G's. Gianna's doing incredible things there. So it's cool to see people pay attention to opportunity for craft and take it seriously. It can be a career, which I don't think any of us started in this industry thinking it was going to be a full-on career. So, I definitely didn't. I was like, a Jack and Coke is a Jack and Coke is a Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
Bartending is easy. I can go do it anywhere in the country. And then lo and behold, no, man, these crafts are serious.
For sure. So you were going to be a theater major, you said?
I was
you
a
was a theater major.
drama major.
And I feel like bartending is still very showcasing,
We
masking,
are very dramatic.
wearing a skin suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome. Cool. So you transitioned into working with Lillet. So were you working with an agency at the time, or were you working with actual like Remy or one not
Pernod was
Yeah.
through an agency.
Yeah.
And at that time, I took that job because I thought I just put out a record also doing music. And I was like, this will be a cool way for me to just meet more people, see different venues. It didn't. I never I never played another show. But yeah, that was a good eye opener into the world of brand ambassador. I think I was coming in right as Chris Patino was leaving
Mhm.
running that program. So getting to work alongside him was a real like pleasure. And I mean, cutting your teeth with somebody who knows that much is a pretty special experience.
Yeah, sure. So you went from Lillet, and then you went into, what was the next role after that?
So Lillet, I stayed with him for 6.5 years.
Okay.
So I started as just like a little LA brand ambassador, and that grew into being their national brand ambassador, hiring our own team, running that. And then I had 2 kids during COVID, and I thought, I don't really want to do this anymore. Tried to step back, and, and then Remy was like, but how about you come here? I was like, all right, yeah, let's go do this.
Yeah. And with Remy, you kind of represent all the 3 brands only that you mentioned?
Right now
or
it's the 3 brands. Remy it's really portfolio focused,
Yeah.
so there's nothing across our portfolio that we wouldn't talk about. But it's nice to have dedicated people for certain things because it's a lot to learn, especially on something like Mount Gay with 323 years of heritage. Those are some full files to get
Yeah,
through.
for sure. What kind of education did you have to do to kind of do your roles? Did you just like dive in and start looking at any books, anything like that, kind of help you
Yeah, I
make the
mean,
transition?
I honestly didn't know a ton about the spirits production side before getting into this. I mean, very cursory knowledge of just get through. Kind of like when you're a bartender and they're like, "Oh, show us the wine list." I'm like, "I can fake that." But I don't know all the really high-end wines.
Hey, grapes,
Yeah, it tastes like
tannins.
Bing cherries. So it wasn't necessarily like a structured, I'm gonna become an expert on anything. It's more listening to the questions that people have in a room and having access to information. So when I started with Remy Cointreau, and when I started with Lillet too, it's really important for me to work on brands that have transparency
Yeah.
and have let me have access to information. So I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. I'm never going to be the smartest person in the room, but I have access to information, which has given me, I don't know, it's taken away the imposter syndrome.
Especially knowing like readily available access to unlimited resources has proven to be incredibly valuable, especially if you don't have the best memory to retain information all the time. And you're like, I do know this. I need to kind of like see it in front of my face.
Yeah. And I mean, different rooms are going to need different things. So you can prepare all you want, and then somebody's going to take you on a tangent. And you're like, yeah, well, we haven't explored that, but let's go, let's figure it out.
And for sure, you mentioned Bar Smarts earlier, and Bar Smarts is also something I used when I got into bartending as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was nothing like that when they launched. I think I did it their first year of touring, and also like getting to make cocktails in front of Dale DeGroff and Steve Olson and Dave Wonderich, and like that was my first time having a Jameson pickleback. I was so nervous.
Yeah, okay.
I was so nervous. My rep took me down to the bar and he's like, "You know what? You're doing great. Just here's a little Jameson, some pickles." And we're like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah. The pickleback is always my favorite. I haven't had one in a while.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
some electrolytes in that pickle juice.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. So we're here at Arizona naturally. So yeah, is this your first Arizona? You've been this.
I've done
right?
Cocktail Week. I want to say 3 or 4 times now.
Okay.
On the sponsor side, I've attended also, and it's growing and growing and growing. It kind of feels like a little baby tails now. Like the caliber of talent that flies in from all over to be here. I love how central everything is too. Like you can bump into everybody. So it kind of feels like a little bit of a family reunion.
Weather's a little more forgiving too. We're all having very good hair days right now.
Somebody was like, "Wouldn't it be crazy to come here in August and do this?" I was like, "Well, we go to New Orleans in July. That's also bonkers."
Yeah, for sure. So you've been here over, you said 3 years, a couple years before. So you've seen the natural growth of it.
Yeah, and I think this might be the most explosive, like jam-packed I've ever seen the itinerary, which is cool. I know Doc and Ross are just really doing an amazing job of curating excellent events and excellent partnerships.
Yeah, for sure. Aaron, I call it Aaron. Some people call him Doc. But Aaron and Ross are the founders of, or it's Ross is a founder, and then Aaron's one of the co-producers for Arizona Cocktail Week.
They're the ones that have been sending me emails, so
Yeah,
I
for
know
sure.
what to respond to.
Yeah, for sure. And what is your favorite bar here in Arizona or here in Phoenix? We're not just Arizona.
My favorite bar is just the one that's going to have an open seat and someone chilling with me.
Yeah.
Like I love the places that we get to go to, but it's really about the people.
Yep.
And I think we can have a good time anywhere. I mean, we were at some Irish pub last night, and it was not notable. It's not going to be on any 50 best list or anything, but just the company that we had was fabulous.
Yeah, for sure. Phoenix definitely has a good culinary scene.
Yeah,
and well, cocktail scene as well. For what they're doing out here is kind of wild.
it's growing each year. You know, like we had an incredible dinner last night. I felt like I was in Las Vegas at Cleverman. I think we went to Cleverman.
Okay,
last night. Yeah, and I was like, this place is okay. All right, on the high end side.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, like Little Rituals is always a go-to, but
Fabulous.
Aaron and the team do a good job there, and then of course Bitter and Twister is also their new menu.
It's a
beautiful.
must hit. That highball.
Yeah.
You just like there's the spots you gotta go. You know, but I was trying to be very diplomatic.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
You could say that like you can go into any bar anytime and have vastly different experiences, and I truly believe like it's the bartender makes the bar, the people behind the stick, the people sitting in front of you. It's all about just what that environment is at the time. Like I've had a fantastic time just sitting at the bar in front of the service well at Bitter and Twisted the last 2 nights and just looking at their menu and just like it looks almost like a Times magazine.
Yeah.
The way that it's designed right now. And I don't know, being able to do that. And then we went to Undertow and just
Fabulous.
got princess treatment. And it was just phenomenal. And it wasn't anything big. It was just the the feeling of being welcomed into the conversation or a seat at the table.
Yeah. If you think about it too, just like I thought about this it was just World Bartenders Day, right? And I was thinking about like the design of a bar. For the most part, the seats face forward.
Right.
So if you're by yourself or you're with a group, like the seats are facing forward, and that's intentional. And that's because the person behind the bar is supposed to engage you.
That's the
right?
theater.
It's the theater, right? But it's the community. So right now we're going through a lot in our country, and I know sometimes it's hard to show up and be like, all right, I really care about this perfectly diluted martini. You know, like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But that seat at the bar, you have an opportunity to validate someone else's existence just by acknowledging them. And that goes such a long way for restoring humanity and community right now. So more than ever, I think that seat at the bar is super valuable right now.
I agree. I think we're not necessarily losing the culture, but I think people need to come back to realizing like it's about having the conversations at the bar and not being so charged. Hospitality, welcoming everybody.
Yeah.
Do it. Like we're here when people.
And a good bartender is going to kind of pay attention to the conversations at their bar top to make sure that things are, like going in a good direction. And we look out for our regulars and our patrons and take care of people. But I think too, just like as a culture, we've kind of forgotten how to talk to a stranger.
Yep.
Sure. Like there's like a fear, everything's done on an app and it's done. I mean, just sitting at the bar last night, it's a beautiful bar at Cleverman. Everybody sitting next to me was on their phones. I'm like, what the heck we all doing out here together?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think something that when I'm like mentoring or training anyone behind the bar with me, it's very easy to get that tunnel vision and just take it way too seriously. And I joke and I'm like, it's like we're taking liquid from one vessel and putting it into another, right? Like any bartender can put liquid in a glass, but it's about the storytelling aspect. It's about the inclusion of the people around you. And I tell them it's like, it's not that serious. Like include people, make them feel welcome. And we all have our off days and we all have to like, it is a very performative job. And I joke that like my social battery will get depleted very quickly. So it's just also about recognizing that and how to take a step back and just remember that you're here to create an experience for your guest. And every experience is going to be slightly tailored and a little more unique.
And it's also so cool that you have an opportunity to make someone feel good.
Yeah.
Like that is so overlooked in our industry sometimes of like that meaningful connection of you're slammed in the service well, no worries. You see somebody walking, like, I'll be right with you. Just that acknowledgement of like, they feel seen. You don't know that person might have talked to no one all day. This is their first interaction. And you have that opportunity to make someone feel good. And I would rather go through every day of my life knowing that I got to do that than, keeping my head down. I'm a serious bartender. And don't get me wrong, good. I was a serious bartender. I learned my lesson.
It makes you feel really good. I think a lot of us had those experiences bartending during COVID. And I remember if I saw you come in wearing scrubs, I'm just going to give you a shot. I'm not going to say anything to you. I'm just, thank you for your services.
Yeah. You need to go cry in the walk-in? We got
Say
you.
We have a designated spot. No spilt mayonnaise in there, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you hit a very good point of like, our job is hospitality, right? And training newer generation, it's more like they're stuck on their phones. Like they don't necessarily have that. Like our generation was trained in hospitality. I'm seeing now with a lot of like the consultings and stuff I'm doing is the younger generation doesn't necessarily like. I love it. Like no offense to any of y'all, but it's just like there is a disconnect, a little bit of a disconnect, right? Where they can't like engage with people because they're used to just doing everything on the phone, right?
Yeah, I mean, COVID did some real damage to that. That's the generation that didn't have high school graduation, didn't have those meaningful moments. So like they became rather introverted on some of those social elements, and it can be frustrating to see, but it's also to me, it's like that's opportunity.
That's a new challenge.
That's
an obstacle to overcome, and it's like, how do we bridge the gap between being on the phone and front facing, right? So it's like, how do you engage this new generation of bartenders? And then I think it's also like very important for, us who are very like experienced in the art of the craft. Well seasoned. These gray hairs, they do be seasoned. But it's engaging them. And it's also us learning and understanding like, okay, we kind of need a pivot in the way that we're training and mentoring and teaching and the terminology of like gatekeeping. Like I will teach you everything that I know because I want my whole team to be better than me.
Absolutely. It is, as a people manager, it is my goal to see you surpass me.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I'm also a mom,
I don't
so
wanna be
like it's
doing
my
this
goal to
forever.
raise those kids to outdo everything I did.
Yep.
So I don't know. We've definitely got our work cut out for us, but we're now talking about things like balance. And you talked about social battery. We don't know how to recharge and replenish. And I mean, in California, we go through just the wildfire disasters that we had. And as a brand ambassador, like, all right, get to work. How are we going to fundraise? How are we going to like support? And you have to watch your own social battery too. Rest is not weakness. And I don't think growing up as a bartender, we really took into consideration the physical elements, but that social interaction is also incredibly draining. So if you're putting all of that out for your patrons, and then you go home, okay, how are you treating your family? How are you taking care of yourself? What are you doing to recharge? Yeah,
for sure. Bartender wellness is something that has been a growing trend in the industry, and making sure we're taking time for ourselves. It's really important.
Yeah, and I mean, like I travel quite a bit, so the hotel gym is my second home. And I've become really vocal about it doesn't have to be the best workout ever, but get up and move. Get up and do something for you that isn't, like scrolling and just it's good for your brain.
Yeah, getting home after a closing shift, and I joke, I'm like, I'm going on my hot girl walk. But it's just like, it's that moment of decompression where you're kind of sitting in silence with yourself and you're just going through those paces. And whether you're just, doing yoga in your apartment at the end of the night and just, walking the block, it's that moment where I feel like you and I are very aligned, where it's very hard for either one of us to clock out. And the joke is like, well, we make time, we have to. But it's also like this cognitive dissonance of, I'm going to really push people to take care of themselves. And like, I'll get onto the bar team and be like, you're sick, don't text. And they're like, you're literally in a hospital. Why are you texting us?
Yeah.
So it's just like holding ourselves accountable to the things that we're trying to push people to do.
Well, we talk term work-life balance, right? But if you actually think about what balance is, if you're in a yoga pose, you're not static, right? Your muscles are transferring energy from one side to the other to maintain that balance. It's constant movement.
Right.
So sometimes it might be really heavy on one side and then it flips to the other, but that still can be balance, right? It's I used to think of it as like, oh, I'm going to have equal time with my family and I'm going to have equal. It's just not, it's not like that.
And that's not tangible.
It's not, but it's like giving myself grace to be like, all right, today was not good. You know, I started answering emails at 6:15 in the morning and it's now 9 p.m. at night and I'm not done. Right. So, okay, have some grace with myself. Balance is going to be constant movement, transferring that energy from one side to the other.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. This is a good conversation about work-life balance. And it's been something that's consistently brought up too as well that we like talking about. But kind of going back to your role now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Oh,
no,
that thing.
it was a great. It was a great topic. So you're more trade advocacy, right? Are you marketing? What is your breakdown?
So I work as a liaison between our marketing teams and our sales teams. So I sit in the room with the marketing teams as we look at, brand plans and how things are going to go to market these activations, what an experience will look like from that bottle, right? And then I go to the markets and work with the sales teams to execute and activate. And then heavy on like education and that kind of thing, because again, coming from the theater background, whether it's talking to 5 bartenders or a room of 500 people for a seminar, like that's my wheelhouse.
Yeah. And you enjoy being out there and talking to.
I do. It's not for everybody, but I think especially working on the brands that I'm working on right now, it's like such fun stories to tell.
Yeah.
And I love giving those moments to bartenders that they can then go, use as that soundbite clip to make some extra money, be engaging with your customers.
For sure. And you do a great job on social media too.
Oh, thank you.
You do a lot of that too.
Yeah.
They're really cute. They're
Thank
fun.
you. It's no setup like this. But I was like, oh, those are nice cameras.
I do have a question. Do you find that because of the great storyline within the parameter of the portfolio, that it makes it a lot more organic and easy flowing to talk about it within the vast comparison of groups of people, the 5 bartenders or the 500 in a seminar?
Yes, the stories are easy. And I will say, if you're ever looking to work for a brand, work for something that you have access to information on, but also that don't make you lie for them.
Right.
Life is exhausting, right? So I am not going to front it for anything, right? So to be able to just say, look, this is what it is, and have that authenticity come like actually organically,
right,
is energizing. And I think it's rare because marketing is marketing, right? So we've got all the stories to spin, but working with Remy Cointreau, it's like, all right, let's open these books, let's dig in, and those stories write themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Remy's a pretty old brand itself, right?
Very old. Yeah. So, I mean, Mount Gay is the oldest in our portfolio. She looks good, right? But yeah, iconic brands. I mean, Remy Martin, Cointreau, they've all, and I know you've got Kyle coming up soon to talk with you guys too. So I'll leave all the Remy stuff for him to have. But yeah, working on things that have that much heritage, it's incredible.
Do you have any advice for someone who's trying to get into like a role like yours?
Yeah.
You would like a bartender, like same transition?
So I would say, first of all, you have to be fiscally responsible, right? I operate with a very large budget, but it is not my money. So make sure that you are fiscally responsible. The other thing that no brand ambassador likes to do is reporting. But if your data doesn't match up, then the person that's allocating your budgets, they don't understand, right? So you need to make sure that your reports are in on time, do the work. And then I think the last thing is don't take other people's time for granted, whether you're working with 3 people or 300 people, or it doesn't matter, right? Be on time and be prepared, because that's such a simple way to show respect for people. And it goes a long way. People remember when you're like, I mean, I live in LA, traffic is terrible, so things happen. So communicate if you're going to be late, but being on time and being prepared, having your reports in on time, having all of that done, it shows respect non-verbally to whether it's a brand new person or your head boss. It's just like, I respect that this is your time and I'm here for it.
Yeah, for sure. And do you have any KPIs, or is it more just focused? You do have KPIs. Is there sales KPIs, or is it more just training?
It's mostly, but I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, if the bottles aren't moving, nobody has a job.
Yeah.
So it's all relative to sales, I guess. But most of my stuff is on the education side, writing all of those decks, putting together all of those presentations, a lot of creative, creating activations. I designed Cosmos and Crab Legs, which is now a national program for us with Cointreau.
That's great.
So yeah, that's the fun stuff.
Can you walk us through your creative process for that?
it's where my work-life balance goes out the window because
Perfect.
at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can wake up with an idea and it's like, oh man, that's such a good way to phrase
But
that.
isn't that so much fun?
Yeah, no, it is, but you never know when those ideas or what's going to spawn it. And it's always been like that for me. Like as a musician, writing a song, I mean, the amount of voice notes I have from, song clips, thinking of cocktails in the middle of a design, like a dessert bite, like, oh, this needs to be a cocktail.
Yep.
You're just like, wait, throws the fork.
Yeah. So
Pulls out phone.
you never know how that's going to come together. And you just have to always, be ready to
Embrace
write it
it.
down. And my biggest, most toxic trait is I get really excited after a cup of cold brew, and then I'll call my teammates and I'm like, look, I want to do this thing. And they're like, how much coffee did you have?
I
Yeah.
could not relate.
Yes. Cold brew. Powers the industry.
Oh,
Just
man.
ripping
Like,
shots of
wouldn't this
cold
be fun? I'm like, yeah, but what's going on with you?
Yeah. Awesome. The crabs and the crab legs and what is it called?
Cosmos and crab legs.
Cosmos and crab legs. I had
You're
that
doing
reversed.
amazing.
Sorry. It's great. I've been to 2 of them and like it's always a fun event. And
It's-
you guys have been activating.
It's a fun one. And working on Cointreau doesn't need the same part of my brain that Mount Gay does, right? Like we talked about insane heritage and just things to remember. And also Mount Gay is still doing innovations, which is also crazy, right? Cointreau needs energy. So getting to their story is also incredibly beautiful. But it's the same juice, right, that they've been making the entire time. So thinking of a different way for bartenders to view Cointreau is super fun for me. So that Cosmos, we do 5 different variations of Cosmos for that. And all the recipes are the same. You just swap out your strong spirit. So getting to see it through the lens of the Cosmo and the versatility of Cointreau. Also, it's pink drinks and pink food.
Yeah.
It's like,
Can't go wrong there. Do you find, sorry, do you find that it is a unique area of opportunity and just this like really cool scope of being like, okay, it's Cointreau. They don't have that many different expressions and iterations. So it really puts you in a position of forcing yourself or giving yourself the opportunity to be a little more creative in your approach.
Cointreau is the most versatile thing I think I've ever worked with.
Right.
It's fun too because I get to be the shovel in the sandbox that all the kids want to use. Like being a modifier is the amount of friends that I get to work with and think outside the box on things. It's I'm not saying my job is too easy, but like they make that job good.
The ability to exist in the space of being a modifier gives you so much creative freedom where it's like, okay, Cointreau, but it's in what capacity can we utilize this?
Yeah.
So it's just like I remember when Cointreau Noir was a big push.
Yeah.
And that was just so much fun to me. Was that something that were you able to work with that?
Yeah. I mean, Noir is it's just not as a large like KPI for me. But it's delicious. And it goes with me at any like training I get, people need to try it because it's a different iteration, right? So learning about that, I think a lot of people just didn't even know we had it.
Right.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Yeah, it's delicious. And then the pear liqueur as well is also
Belle de Brillet,
Belle de
yeah.
Brillet. I keep forgetting about that one.
That has
It's
been
so good.
so much fun to work on. And it's only been, I think in the States for 4 years now
Yeah.
with this new liquid. So Jean-Louis Brillet created Belle de Brillet in 1985. But like a lot of things in the 80s, it had a time to figure out what it actually needed to be.
Mhm.
Had some fake flavorings, had some fake coloring. And when Remy Cointreau came in as a partner 5-6 years ago, they were like, let's rethink this. So now it's 18 pairs per bottle, all natural, blended with a cognac and Madagascar vanilla sugar. So it's so simple. And he made it as a love letter to his wife, Isabel. And I don't know, if you're a romantic out there, just know that people are making an actual spirit as a love letter. So we need to step up our game on the
Yeah.
romance side.
Yeah.
Get it together.
Get it together.
Yeah.
Flowers are great. I'm sorry, you made me a liqueur?
Wow.
So yeah,
Awesome. I definitely am curious. I know we had the spritz last night at Carnival, but I'm curious to try the liquid by itself because I've tried the old iteration.
Yeah.
It was a big corporate mandate when you and I were in
Yeah.
Hotel Life.
Yeah.
and
It was
the old one, it's still delicious,
Yeah.
right? But it's so cool that they achieved this like flavor bomb, all natural now.
It was a lot of fun. And that I didn't even think about that yesterday. I was like, I know I've had this flavor profile somewhere. So yeah, the good old hotel brand standards.
But we appreciate it.
Let's talk a little bit about Mount Gay Silver.
Yeah.
So I know that's the newest one, and I know we did a launch party at Toasted, and then you just did one here at Eyeball.
Yeah, this has been a work. Mount Gay Silver's been around for a long time, but it didn't. It stopped coming to the United States. I want to say about 8 years ago. And so we were still making it in Barbados, and then when Trudianne took over, she did a reformulation of it. So the juice that we have today is different than the one that we used to have here. She added a little bit of aged pot still to it, so it has column and pot distillate aged in American whiskey barrel, and then charcoal filtered. So it has so much funk and depth to it for a silver rum. And it took me about 2 years, me and the brand team, to figure out how to get it back in the United States. So I'm happy.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was definitely very excited when I got to try it, and it was brought to me, and I blind tasted it, and I was like, does this have pot still in it? And I was just like,
crazy?
what is happening? And I was just so pleasantly surprised, because I mean, to me, it's really important to appreciate the entire spectrum of rum, right? Whether you want to like deep dive into those high esters and the overripe rotten fruit and the dunder and the muck, but then you're like, this is this beautiful introduction to a blend of pot column still.
Yeah.
And I was so stoked that Toasted had the opportunity to we did the stateside launch, right? I was just like, make it fashion. So then I was able to highlight it both within Toasted and then within Road to Nowhere, and just did 2 vastly different menus for it.
Yeah.
Just really showcased and highlighted.
She did all of this in the same day too.
Oh yeah.
And bartended it, and
I
blew my
did.
mind.
Thanks, and that was how we met.
Awesome.
But I mean, that is so. Again, Mount Gay, 323 years of continuous operation. They're still doing innovations. It would be very easy for them to sit back and be like, all right, we got Eclipse, we got our core standards, but the last 300 years have been great. We're also really wondering what the next 100 years can do. So when I first started on this brand, I sat in a all team meeting with them about the next 100 years. They even created a graphic for like 30-30. Who thinks like that?
Wow.
Like
That's cool.
none of us are going to be here, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously.
That's cool.
But putting intentions for that next 100 years is such a unique thing to get to work on.
Yeah.
And I think Trudianne is just doing such an amazing job of saying, all right, this is great. These are our core standards. What else?
She's
What
so cool.
else? She's so cool.
She's so cool. Like, I have not met her, but it's just, I was not familiar with the rum world until a little over 4 years ago. Like, I come from bourbon. I come from just like I come from like club bartending. I come from the sweet and sour out of a gun. So that resonates with me deeply. Like, my first real night of bartending was at Baker Street, and they're like, you want to be a bartender? Here, take the service well, night before Thanksgiving. Have fun, be safe. And I'm just like, I'm almost crying, like looping these tickets around my neck like a CVS receipt. And I was like, well, I guess you'll get your drink tomorrow. But just being fully immersed in the rum world has given me such an appreciation for spirits. And, you know, when we're tasting them with the team, and it's just very, like we were talking about before I hijacked this episode, so my apologies. But we were talking about how rum is parallel to wine, parallel to agave. It's very terroir driven.
Yes.
So that's why when I tried the Silver Expression, and I was like, there's pot still in this. And it almost tripped me up, because I was like, is this Probitas?
Yeah.
And it really threw me for a loop. But I absolutely love like the Madeira cask. If it's Madeira cask finish, I'm gonna put it on the back bar.
Yeah.
Like, just full stop. And the cognac,
I think too. So like the way Mount Gay does it, because additives are legal in rum production, but Barbados gave us what she gave us, and it's more than enough. And so achieving that depth of flavor, it's just incredible what Trudianne does. I think of like her barrel room, the selections. It's like a chef with spices, right? Like a little bit of this one, a little bit of Madeira, a little bit of, that smoky bourbon barrel. And just watching her put that process together. She told me about a blend that the team came and they brought her a taste, and she was like, it's missing X, Y, and Z. They're like, you literally put a cup of that. Like, we didn't think it was. She's like, go put it in. And she's like, nope, that's my blend.
Yeah.
How do you notice that in a whole barrel? A cup. She's like, it was like a shoe size full that they were missing. And she's like, I caught it right away.
It's like the salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. It's her seasonings. And like, again, the team there, it is collaborative, and they do such a good job of growing that next generation. So she's working on projects that she'll never see come to fruition.
Isn't that just so wild to consider? Like the longevity and the dedication and the discipline that it takes to really just be like, okay, this is the projection, this is the trajectory that I want to go on with this juice. This is what I want to see, and just having that much love and passion for what you're doing, that you're never going
And
to
confidence.
taste this. And you're like, you respect the craft, you respect the rum so much, you love your team and your island, and you're just like, this is a legacy.
It's a legacy for sure. And I think too, like the trust that the team has for each other, and the trust of whoever comes in next has in the person previous. Like that transition. Trading Ann's not going anywhere. Okay, just put that right there. but that working that. Okay, like it's like building a house that you're never going to live in, right? Like, but you created these special fine details that you want the next person to know. But like, I made you a house.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through the process of Mount Gay? I know Tiff is very educated on it, but like for other viewers and listeners, like can you walk us through the process of Mount Gay and the different marks and everything? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a rather large portfolio. Just within Mount Gay, our core range is all going to be a blend of column and pot distillate, which is pretty true to who we are. That blend.
Yep.
We are using some local molasses and then some imported molasses. So even if we had access to every piece of sugarcane on the island, it wouldn't be enough for our production. And there's also 4 distilleries on the island, so everybody gets a little piece of the local molasses. And then the imported molasses has to be Bon Sucro certified, which is a really, really cool aspect of sustainability. So that Bon Sucro certification is an extra step that says any molasses that's coming to us has to have the same guaranteed workers' rights for the people working on it. And agriculture is tough. That is hard work. So guaranteed restroom breaks, guaranteed like sanitation and quality of life. So that's super intentional. And then the molasses comes to us. We have open air fermentation and closed fermentation, depending on which still it's going to. We use proprietary yeast and open air. Obviously, yeast is kind of like Mother Nature's way of try and do something without me. Mother Nature's going to be like, I'm in it.
Like, gotcha.
It's everywhere. So from there, you've got a range of options for distillation for us. Pot stills, 3 different pot stills on site. We also have a copper coffee column still. We are one of 3 distilleries total in the world that has a running copper coffee column still. And if I have 7 rums and can still say copper coffee column still, you're doing
Say
right.
that 5 times fast.
I can do it. And then we have our continuous still as well.
Okay.
So from there, it can go into any number of barrel selections, right? That's our bond houses it's like a mad scientist getting to like, ooh, which one's going next, But the standard range, so we have American whiskey barrels, charred bourbon barrels, and cognac barrels. And so like your Eclipse, American whiskey barrel. Black barrel is going to hit that American whiskey barrel and charred bourbon barrel. And then the XO is all 3 barrels. So it's kind of just a blend of how she wants to do things. Everything's going to be an age range because it's not a set like recipe. It's agriculture, right? So one year something's going to taste one way, and the next year it could totally different because of the rainfall. So I don't envy Trudy Ann's job of making sure that everything stays consistent, because consistency creates credibility. So if you're opening a bottle in London and I open one in Long Beach, they need to taste the same.
Right.
I know you were talking earlier about like if I tasted the same over and over and over again, I bet you could probably pick up some subtleties.
Right.
But then you would also be an expert on
And then you just be like, this is amazing, because I think not. Sometimes we don't give enough credit to what it means to truly be like a master blender, because you have to taste such a broad range of things. And like we talk about like blowing your palate, right? Like you have to make sure you're not, putting yourself at a deficit when you're tasting things. And it's just like when you're blending things, that's your palate being able to taste things. Like there are certain like tests that you can do to test your bricks, your dilution, your ABV, all of that. But when it comes down to the wire and you're tasting it, that relies on the human experience.
Well, And same goes for Cointreau, right? We have Carol. Also, happy Women's History Month. I just realized.
Oh my God, it
Women's
is
History
first.
Month.
Yes.
So we
Hey.
have Carol Quinton and then Trudy Ann Brinker, right? So 2 incredible females running these insane houses. Carol has been at the helm, I want to say 16 years with Cointreau. That juice needs to taste exactly the same every time, right? And
Right.
oranges, again, are agriculture. Those are fresh oranges. So how that works, I don't envy her job at all. I asked her one time, I was like, how much is your nose insured for? And she was like, Lauren, we don't talk about that. I was like, okay, fair.
That's my livelihood.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, like, and she can, from a mile away, she'd be like, yep, that's Cointreau. That's not Cointreau. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
That's just really cool. I did want to back up real fast for any rum nerds. Importing your molasses. I know the answer to this, but where do you import it from?
Surrounding regions. Yeah. Again, it's not like I'm not trying to be cagey. It's just that things change.
Yeah.
So
And again, I think it's really important to understand how much what we were talking about earlier is just like climate, weather patterns, like
we're
harvest.
looking for things with similar terroir, obviously. But Barbados is unique. It's coral and limestone.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing like Barbados as far as like the water and how things work on Barbados. So we get as close as we possibly can,
Right.
but also those surrounding regions are growing gorgeous cane. We do have our own estate now as of 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've tried the single estate rum, that is coming 100% from our little 324 acres.
And you have 2 or 3? I know I have 2 of them at Toasted.
So there's 4 expressions total, but the third is only available in Barbados. Okay. So I would highly recommend you book a trip and you go. It's unaged and it's gorgeous. So, but that is also grade A molasses that we're making at our own little mini molasses mill. Everything else on the island gets processed at one mill. It's a massive production, right? So that's going to make the local molasses, and then we have our own mini molasses mill. That's for our estate.
How much does that produce?
I want to say it's like 8 tons an hour.
Nice. Okay.
Whereas I think I don't want to be quoted on this because it's in here somewhere, but we can look it up. Yeah. Port Vale, the big mill, is full production.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, we're about ready to wrap up. So a couple last questions.
Yeah.
These are going to be a rapid fire. So what was your first cocktail that was like oh my God, I've nailed it cocktail during your bartending time?
A Mai Tai, like an actual real Mai Tai.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your build on a Mai Tai?
First of all, back to club bartending. The first time we ever made it, it was like orange juice and pineapple juice, dark rum floater, maraschino cherry, So like learning that it actually had orgeat, and like fresh lime juice. Yeah. It's so that cocktail just changed my perspective. Yeah. As far as like mastering something, if I go sit at a bar and you make me a good daiquiri, I'm like, all right, like that's it. Or good margarita. If I can have more than one of those from you because they're so balanced, that's how I know, like, okay, we're good. We're good.
Those are your 2 judge.
That's my like litmus test. Yeah. Okay. The first one that I like changed my mind as a bartender of like, oh, this could be really good was a real Mai Tai.
Yeah. Mai Tai.
Yeah.
How about you, Tiff?
It was a mojito.
Nice.
Okay.
I was service well bartender at Bar Louie, and they had like 3 different variations of mojitos, and that was when I realized. Because I mean, again, club bartending, like everything's out of a gun, and we were muddling the mint and the fruit, and there was this point where I was like, wait, culinary and cocktail are symbiotic in relationship. So for me, it was a mojito, and then that was when I knew, like, I'm gonna make a career out of this. This is that. I think in that moment, that's kind of when I fell in love with what I was doing.
I will say, Mount Gay Silver and Red Bull, delicious.
Which Red Bull?
Tropical.
The tropical. That's a yellow one, right? Yeah.
I'm like, club bartender, it just never leaves you, right? So Mount Gay Silver.
I won't hate on that. Say less. I know what we're doing later.
I cannot do Red Bull from my college days. It's like instant smell. I'm just like, I can't. Anyway, what is
highbrow, lowbrow? We gotta have gotta have a range.
What is your least favorite cocktail?
I struggle with cocktails that just have too much sugar.
Okay, too sweet.
It's and like not too sweet, but like the reality is, as somebody who goes out a lot, right? I am very careful about A, how much I'm drinking, and then B, just the amount of sugar that I'm ingesting, which is why I really like drinking Mount Gay rum additive free.
Yeah.
But I do find too, like cocktails need editing.
Mhm.
And, Coco Chanel was famous for saying, before you leave the house, take one piece off. And I think like a jewelry or something, it's like, before you put that on the menu, is everything actually needed in that 12 touch cocktail, So
Yeah.
things that are overly complicated and need a little bit of editing, that's probably my least favorite
Mhm.
cocktail.
Okay. What is one of the trends that you've noticed? Because you've traveled a lot. But what is one of the industry trends that you're seeing?
I would say my favorite trend right now is a return to hospitality, and that just the ego of the star bartender kind of thing is starting to go away, and it's making things more inclusive and more friendly, and I am here for that.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Less of that sandbox mentality.
Yeah, for sure. And then what is your industry hot take right now, if you have one?
Hot take. Um, I don't know. I think we need to be nicer to everybody.
Yep.
We just need to have more kindness and to understand that views are views. We all have the same oxygen in our bodies, and we're all trying our best. And so, be supportive. Don't gatekeep. And let's have more kindness.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. So where can people follow you if you have any questions?
Follow me at Mix It Trickett on Instagram. I'm pretty good actually about responding to DMs and stuff. I do have 2 little kids, so sometimes I go a little MIA. But again, work-life balance.
Yeah.
So
For sure. And Tiff, where can people follow you if they have questions for you specifically?
Ambitious_imbiber. And then the handles for both of my bars are on there as well.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I won't lie, I don't post on my storyline. I I post on my story. I don't post on the grid. I get a lot of flack from it, but be in the moment.
yeah,
I'm too busy taking cold brew shots.
there it is.
And then, Lauren, you said something about consistency earlier. Can you say your quote again? I think that's going to be
Consistency creates credibility.
Excellent.
Right.
I think that's something very important, I think, as well, in bartending and anything.
I mean, from the liquid that I represent to how I represent myself, right? So like I want your experience with me to be consistent, right? If I tell you I'm going to do something, I told you I'd be here at 10 a.m. on a cocktail weekend day, like I'm ready for it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Show up on time. Consistency creates credibility.
Awesome. If do you have any quotes you would like to share?
Oh, actually, yes. And I say this periodically. It's constructive criticism is more productive than destructive cynicism.
Mm.
And I think that is really important to understand that none of us are perfect. I joke with my bar team, I've made far more bad cocktails than good ones. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
I think
that's so key.
Our generation coming up behind us too, they are afraid to make mistakes. And that's something so like everybody could be canceled at any moment and everything's on, like a photo. I made so many mistakes and there's no photos of it,
Oh, yeah, we did.
Not with the Motorola Razr flip phone.
Yeah,
right?
The razors. Yeah.
So like allowing people to be silly and make mistakes and enjoy that growth process. I really hope we get back to that.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for letting me hijack this episode a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, ladies, for being on. It's
My pleasure.
exciting. Awesome.
Can't wait to have a Mount Gay and Red Bull later.
Silver Bowl.
There you go. Yeah, Silver Bowl. Oh, yeah.
Patrick said that he actually wants to shotgun a Red Bull later.
Oh, good.
I mean,
Silver Bowl sounds delicious. I might try that.
woohoo!
I might do it. Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of Cocktail Classified. Again, follow us at Cocktail Classified on YouTube. We're on Apple and all the other podcast sites. Catch you next time.